In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit upon all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams.
October the 2nd, the most traumatizing and awakening day of my life.
The words that I said was, there's no more time. You need to repent now. I don't want you to be left behind.
I woke up saying that over and over and over again. I'm not ready, we're not ready, I'm not ready, we're not ready.
Hi, I'm Gary Greenlee. During the last few years, a phenomenon is taking place where people all over the world are having rapture dreams at an increasing rate. These are just some of them.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. Crystal here. I was just jumping on today to share some pretty heavy things that the Lord's placed on my heart today after I woke up this morning from a short but very vivid dream that literally shook me to my core. So in this dream, I'm trying to get, I guess, my trailer in order. We just sold it actually, but here I am trying to get my trailer in order, and one of my best friends just shows up out of the blue, totally unannounced. And then all of a sudden, while I'm standing in this hallway, I hear the loudest horn blast. Like, I knew it was a shofar, and it came, and then another one right with it. Like, it was so loud and incredible that it woke me up out of this dream. And I woke up and I was like, whoa, Lord, did I just hear shofar blast? Like, because I've never heard that in any of my dreams. This is the first time I've heard shofar, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, blasts. And then I was like, Lord, what does this mean? Does this mean it's like really soon? Like, I've been praying all night asking you. And then before you knew it, I fell back to sleep again. And the dream had continued maybe for 60 more seconds. Like, it was so quick. I continued walking down the hallway. My best friend was still with me. So we walk out, and now I'm outside on this weird looking patio overlooking water. And she sits down, and there's a bunch of people sitting down, like eating, going about their day. And it's a beautiful day. At least it looked like a beautiful day. And I'm just about to sit down to join her. And I look out on the water, and I see black swirling clouds rolling in like towards us. And I just completely lost it. I started screaming to everybody. I'm like, Jesus is coming. And nobody was listening to me. Some were making fun of me. I'm like, everyone needs to repent now. He's coming. And I like dropped to my knees and my eyes were closed. I'm like, please, like I was begging them. I'm like, if you don't know Jesus, repent now. He is coming. And when I opened my eyes, they had all fled. They had all left the room except for my best friend, who was still smiling like there was nothing wrong. And I'm begging her. I mean, I am bawling my eyes out. And I was begging her to get on her knees and repent. And I said, the words that I said was, there's no more time. You need to repent now. I don't want you to be left behind. And then the dream ended.
I had a dream that I was in Italy in like a gala, like a museum gala. I used to love to go to parties like that in New York City. And so I walked around, and I decided, okay, well, I'm here, I'll look around. And I remember there being ice sculptures and just these beautiful gardens and beautiful walkways and stuff and champagne. And so I was alone walking around. I grabbed a glass of champagne. I used to love to drink champagne, and I remember just holding it in my hand. And the next thing I know, I'm in a car. I'm driving in this car with 4 people, and I don't know them. I'm with strangers in this car. And I remember driving down this like old country road, dirt road, with a tree and rolling hills. Actually, it looks a lot like this area here. And I was looking out the window, holding my glass of champagne, and I see these 2 clouds, like the smoke clouds that an airplane would make, coming in the sky, but the position was from me. They were coming out of, instead of being in the sky, they were coming out from me. And it was really powerful in that moment. My heart sank, everything just sank, and I knew. I just knew it was the end. And I knew that it was too late. I'm way too far to get home. I knew in my mind I was in Italy for some reason, and it would take at least 8-hour flight to get home, and I was too far from my family. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not even at church. I'm not with anybody I know. I'm not with anybody I care about. I'm not at church. I'm not praying. I just kept thinking, I'm too far. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? And all I kept thinking was, I'm not ready. We're not ready. I'm not ready. We're not ready. And I woke up saying that over and over and over again. I'm not ready. We're not ready. I'm not ready. We're not ready.
October the 2nd, the most traumatizing and awakening day of my life. I remember walking outside of my apartment, and I was walking back and forth with my eyes closed and just started praying. And I asked God, I said, Lord, if you give me an out-of-body experience, I vowed to share your word and to tell the people what I saw. After that night, the next morning, that Thursday, October the 2nd, I had a dream. And I appeared before a blue sky with no clouds. There was nothing there but a blue atmosphere. And we was in this clear kind of body form, some form of light, as you would refer to a soul or a spirit, and I could see through. It was so transparent, and in front of me was thousands among thousands similar to what I was, and thousands among thousands behind me, and I knew that it was some form of a soul. And in the middle of my chest were seeds, multiple seeds. I didn't know what they were for. I began to look around and to observe the things that I saw, not knowing that this was a dream. I thought this was reality. I thought this was actually happening. And I looked forward, and there was this great shadow way in front of me, way at the end of the line. It was like 1,000 people in front of me, and there was a shadow, a great big shadow, but it had no detail. It was like as a vapor out of nowhere. I heard these words, "Depart from me." On the right side of him, there was this big portal that opened up, and there will be stones of fire, and they will leak out of this portal. And whoever that guy had said, "Depart from me," flew down this place. And the stones were so hot that it would burn everybody outside of that portal. On the left side of our body or our form, it would burn us. And the portal closed. And then he sent them so fast that the screams were late. I would hear, ah, like it was like, "Depart from me." And it closed up. Then the screams come, ah, and it terrified me. And then out of nowhere, something snatched us up. And like we moved up the line. And I began to think, I didn't understand where we was. I'm like, oh my God, maybe this is judgment. But here, "Depart me," "Depart me," "Depart from me," and all these different people will be sent to hell. And the part that scared me the most was the people that were getting judged. You could hear when God was talking to them, and you could hear everything they got judged from. So if somebody went to hell for something that you knew you struggled with in your life, you know where you were going. Keep in mind that our life held us hand to hand. So anything we did in our life, our life testified against us. So you couldn't lie because your life testified. And I could hear some of the people talking to God. And I remember there was a woman, and God was talking to her. He said, I'm not judging you for what you put on Facebook, but I'm judging you on how everybody else received it. 300,000 people were led astray by one of her Facebook posts. And out of nowhere, he said, depart from me. And I'm talking about, I couldn't express how powerful his words were. It's as if he said, depart from me, and everything shook. Boom. And she was like, she was sent with great force. And the portal opened up. Boom. She was going, and it would close. And like, and the screams were so late, it terrified me. And people in front of me were terrified because a lot of those people were struggling or went through the same situation and they never repented. So 1,000, 1,000, sent here. They would go, they were flying. They was flying so fast. I've never seen something so fast. And it got to the point where I was next in line. And he called me up. And he started talking to me. And he brought up this specific woman. And he asked me, why didn't I forgive her? And I knew exactly what he was talking about. He asked me, why didn't I forgive her? I said, I did, God, I did forgive her. He said, well, if you forgave her, why are those seeds still in your chest? And I looked down. I was like, oh my God. That's what those are for. Those are seeds of what I did in my life. The things I didn't forgive. I mean, he looked at me and said, because you didn't forgive her, I didn't forgive you some of your sins. And I was like, oh my God. And he started telling me so many other things, and he ain't told me not one good thing yet. And at this point, I'm getting terrified because my mind is starting now going to a place where I'm imagining how hot this fire is going to be when this portal opens. Words can't describe how terrifying it is to look your creator face to face. Where there's nothing hid from him. There's nothing, your inner thoughts are revealed before him. Your perception, how you feel, everything that you hosted in this body is presented before him. I knew I was going to hell. I knew it. I was fully persuaded that this was it. So I turned my head. And at this point, I no longer wanted to hear what he had to say because I knew at this point, I was going to hell. And I would have my head turned, and out of nowhere, there was this one feeling that would come over the interface of my soul. And I would turn my head, it would go in slow motion, and the tears would fly from my face. And I looked at God, and I was looking at his judgment, what was going to be my judgment. And he looked at me, he said, face to face, you don't get a well done. You get a you barely made it. And he stepped back and said, come. And at this point, I was so confused. I'm like, oh my God. And on the left side of God, heaven would open up, so soft, with brilliant lights. The colors were undescribable. And the colors would blossom as they grow, and as they grew, and the heaven would open up so gentle. And I would walk toward that direction, and my hand would go in the portal. And when my hand went through, it got bigger. My arm went through, it got bigger. It was like I was growing into a mature state of a glorified body. And my body would go through it, and only piece that was left behind was my leg. And right before my last foot got in, I woke up. The dream scared me so bad. I was underneath our living room table for hours. I was so terrified. I was terrified to move. I was terrified to do anything because I was afraid it was going to be added to my judgment. I thought that was the judgment. That didn't feel like a dream.
And when I woke up, I was trying to contain the sobs because of what I feel for my best friend. That I don't want her to be left behind, and I don't want anyone to be left behind. And guys, maybe I'm not telling this right, but this was so emotional, this dream. It was so real.
Before this dream, I hadn't thought anything about the end times. I hadn't thought anything about the last days. But that day, I was up early. It was like 7 probably by the time I was walking around. It was a Saturday. And I remember getting 2 videos from 2 different friends regarding the last days that morning. And I kept walking around New York City going, we're not ready, I'm not ready, we're not ready. My family's not ready, I'm not ready.
I was asking God, why did you give me this dream? He said, because I want you to warn my people that the things which you saw are the things that shall be. And I didn't realize that what I prayed for and the vow I made before God, that he was going to fulfill it. Now he's looking for my end to be fulfilled.
And I just feel that was a confirmation of what I had been praying about the night before, that when the bad stuff comes down, we're going to be going up. I mean, the reason why I said I don't want you to be left behind was an actual, that has to do with rapture. And I just said this like out of my gut, and I could barely even get the words out to everybody. I was like, Jesus is coming. Like, I'm like sounding the alarm, warning everyone. And it was within a minute of those shofar blasts happening.
So it was a really profound moment. Just changed my focus, really, just to get ready and to stop messing around and to, tell people, more people, and where would we be? Where will you be when it's the last day? Will you be at the right place? Will I be at the right place? Will I be with the people that matter, doing the things that matter? Or will we be wasting time just kind of taking in the scenery, taking in the time?
And I'm sorry just for getting so emotional, because this friend of mine I've definitely been ministering to, and I don't think that she really understands the times that we're in. And, the fact that she showed up unannounced, that's how Christ is going to show up to many people that don't believe that we're in the times of the seasons right now. He's going to show up unannounced. It's going to take them off guard. But those of us who are in the light should know better. We should know, and we should be humble and stay repentant and be in him and make time for him. And there's just, like I said, in that I screamed out, there is no more time.
That dream was a total wake-up call. It got me focused on what is God, what is Jesus going to be expecting us to be doing when he comes back. He's calling me to certain things. He's calling you to certain things. Do you know what he's calling you to do? Are you obeying him on a daily basis? Do you know the Holy Spirit? Do you know his voice? Are you like the virgins waiting for him, anxiously waiting? There's a lot of people waiting for him and not doing anything. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things but not really listening to his voice in relationship. What is God calling us to be doing? He wants us to be in relationship, anxiously waiting for him, telling people about him. It's too big of an issue to not seek and find.
I beg of you, if there is anything in your life right now that you feel is separating you from the Father, because he's holy and he can't have any sin in heaven, and he is looking for a bride that's spotless and without wrinkle, that's pure. So we need to turn away from sin. We need to turn away from it, guys. There's no righteous one among us. The Bible says none of us are righteous, only Jesus. And we need him as our Lord and Savior in order to be reconciled back with the Father. So I beg you, if there's anything that you're holding on to in this world, get rid of it. It's not worth it. Your eternity is everything, because I'm telling you, the Bible calls it the great and terrible day of the Lord. If that doesn't terrify you, honestly, why would they call it great and terrible? The only thing I can think of is great as being raptured and having that salvation, and terrible as being left behind and unsaved and having to endure God's wrath. There's nothing more terrible in my mind than that I can think of. And all I know is I want to be with Jesus. I don't have any doubts. And you shouldn't either. And today is the day. Don't wait. Don't wait. Time is almost done.
I was terrified. It was so many people went to hell. And it felt like I was the first one. Like, it was thousands among thousands of people in front of me That is scary to me.
And nobody likes to talk about this, but to get sentenced straight to hell for eternity, to burn in hellfire with your own wish I had done this, wish I had done that for the rest of your life, not even able, like some people talk about hell as not even like thirsting, not even be able to have a drink of water, and to be left in torment.
Running out of time. Every day people are dying. Do you know what God is calling you to do? I'm saying, do your neighbors know about Jesus? Does your family know about Jesus? Do your coworkers know? Do they know that you're the person that they need to come to when they need prayer? Do they know that there's hope out in the world? Do they know your transformation? Is your heart changed? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you living by the fruit of the Spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and kindness, and self-control. Are you emanating that? There's no way God touches a person and they don't get transformed. He said, make the tree good and the fruit will be good. Are you living a life that represents our Lord and Savior?
And if there was ever a day to get right with Jesus, today is the day. But again, I just stress, guys, if there's anything that you feel that's left in your heart, bitterness, unforgiveness, remember Jesus forgave us so many times, guys. You know, and I'm not talking about the times that we just stumble as Christians. That happens to all of us. Nobody's perfect. But if you are knowingly sinning, you're doing it and you know that it's wrong, get rid of it. There is no time for that.
Forgive. Let go. I couldn't describe how many people that allow for unforgiveness to grow in them, and it caused a bitterness, which caused them to do things that they got judged for.
Repentance is to do a complete 180 turn. It's a change of belief. And if you believe that God's word is true, you can't just pick and choose and say, I believe this verse or I believe that verse. No, his word will not return void. Everything that he wrote will come true. Everything that he said he will do, he will do. And time is running out, guys, and I just had to come on here today. I am so filled. Like my spirit could just leap out of my chest today. And it was terrifying to even think that one of my friends, let alone anyone, would be left behind to go through or endure this wrath. Why would you want to? Why would you wait and make that decision afterwards? If you can't come to Christ now in the day of grace, what makes you think that you're going to be able to endure the wrath? We don't even know if we have our next breath or tomorrow.
So today I encourage you to get it right with God. Get it right with your fellow friends, your enemies, that church hurt that causes you to attack people in silence. Go get it right, because hell is not worth it.
I just pray that this word really, and this dream that I was given, opens your eyes, that you have ears to hear and eyes to see what the Lord is saying here. Take it for what you will. But I think it was pretty loud and clear that we're going at the last trump. That could be very soon. There is no time. Make the decision today. Praying, loving you all. Have a wonderful rest of the Lord's Day today, and God willing, I'll make another video if the Lord shows or shares anything else that he wants me to share with you all. So, God bless. Bye for now.
God scared me so bad in this dream, but I knew it was for a reason. So today, choose love. Accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Believe that he died on the cross for your sins and my sins, and that he died, but he rose on the third day. Believe that he's the Son of God. Read the scripture and apply it to your life, so that when Jesus come back, he don't see your flesh, but he see his word. I encourage you today. Forgive, love, and watch how God change your life. I thank you for watching. Be blessed.
Time's short. Are you ready?
When I was talking, this massive, really loud trumpet covered the whole sky, and it was so loud, and we were all so scared we sat down on the ground and we held hands. And I knew that it was time and I was going to be taken and my parents were going to be left.
It was just like I saw a figure of a man, and I just started saying, "Oh my God, it's Jesus, it's Jesus," and I just
billowing, and then they parted, and then I saw like a Jesus like figure in the clouds, and then I started lifting up.
I started to lift up. It's like gravity was shut off, and all of a sudden I looked at my feet, and my feet were literally floating up, and I was like,
and this trumpet was so loud, like was so loud, like literally everyone in the world heard it. You could not miss it.
As I was standing there, I heard a loud sound of a trumpet, and it blew for quite a while.
But this one was like very, very low, like a blowhorn, like.
So I'm sitting there, and I hear this noise in the sky, and it's literally like a trumpet, and it's so loud.
Do you feel like God is speaking to you right now? The Bible says, seek the Lord while he can be found. Call on him while he is near. God is desperately wanting a relationship with you. And the good news is that Jesus came to give you the opportunity to have that relationship. If you would like to know God, please pray with me. Dear God, I know that I am a sinner in need of your grace. I repent of my sin, and I ask you to please forgive me and come into my heart and be Lord of my life. In Jesus' name, amen. If you prayed that prayer, we would love to talk with you. You can call us at 727-535-PRAY or visit us online at ctnonline.com/prayer. If God has spoken to you today, share the good news and remember to keep watch, because we don't know the day of our Lord's return.